Philadelphia. Here's Ovechkin. Ovechkin steamrolling in. The pass across. Archie Mason sprawls across, makes the save, loses his mask. Play is stopped, but somehow it stayed out. I have no idea how he got that one if he did. But Mason, as they're checking with him, gives the Flyers a chance, although they will be shorthanded.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 7th episode of the Drive Podcast. I am Kyle Fry and as always I'm joined by Jared Paolo. And things happened while we were gone, didn't they, Jared?
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff happened.
In case you missed it, Flyers made some trades. Joel Embiid's out for the year. The Eagles are going after Brandin Cooks. The Phillies are doing fairly well in spring training, I'd like to say. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get into today, so let's get right into it with Joel Embiid news. He is out for the year. Essentially the news is just the fact that it's a greater tear in the meniscus. So he's been ruled out for the rest of the season. And Jared, what's your opinion on just how the Sixers have handled all of this?
Well, personally, obviously many people are upset. I'm upset as well with how they handled this. What I do like about what they did was Brian Colangelo did say that I saw it in an article. I forget where exactly I saw it, but Colangelo did come out and say that he mishandled the situation with Embiid and that he wishes that he just came out and said when he came out and said that he was going to be day-to-day, and then they put the return date marker sort of on the 4th, I believe, maybe the 3rd. When he came out and said that, he said he wishes he could go back and just say that he tore the meniscus and he was going to be out for the season, and instead of kind of making some controversy around it and some speculation of he's going to come back, we might be able to make the playoffs, but yeah, overall, I mean, if Colangelo didn't come out and say that, I would have been like very, very upset with it. But like overall, still, I'm not too happy with how they handled it.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, and we've talked about this before, and a lot of other people have too. But the lack of transparency is just so damn frustrating with this team, and it's for a lot of us. I think it's the fact that we know what we had with Hinkie, and I mentioned this before. Hinkie told us what was going on. Again, he didn't exactly get a clear-cut say like, yeah, we're tanking, but we all knew that's what he was doing. We all knew what his plan was to rebuild for the future. And he always let it, like, he wasn't shady about anything. Colangelo is complete, just polar opposite, and it's just, if you knew that he probably wasn't going to be back for the rest of the year, why tease us? Like, that's the main thing. Why tease us into thinking that he's going to come back and we can maybe make the playoffs? Because that's completely out of the question now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just frustrating to see the lack of transparency and the fact that we just continue to be deceived, lied to, etc. by this front office.
Yeah, and even with like the Ben Simmons situation, like obviously we talked about that a few times now. The date just kept getting pushed back because originally when he was hurt, they said, around Christmas time possibly, and then Christmas time came, and then they said they were continuing to reevaluate him, and then like as the reevaluation kept occurring, then they said, maybe after the All-Star break, and then that didn't happen, and then obviously they said he's out for the season. But like, just like the transparency with the fans in the front office, it's just like not there, and yeah, they need to do something, or else it's not gonna be pretty, because we all know how Philly fans can be.
Yeah, he's already losing the fan base by a lot, and if they don't win next year, and if we keep seeing the same kind of shady, lack of transparency bullshit that he's put out in the past couple of weeks, and really over the past couple of months, to be honest, then you're going to see the fan base turn on him completely, and people already want Sam Hinkie back. Imagine what it's going to be when the team isn't performing when they're expected to perform.
Yeah, and then like I'm even looking here. like so Hinkie made four, he made three of these four top pretty much picks. Nerlens Noel, Joel Embiid, Joe Okafor, Ben Simmons. Obviously, Colangelo picked Simmons, but
Technically.
Hinkie put him in the spot to pick him.
Yeah.
But and three of those guys, Noel, Embiid, and Simmons, missed their entire rookie years, and then Embiid missed his entire second season. But the thing with those it was known that they were going to miss the season, Noel and Embiid, that they were going to miss the season pretty much from the start. And then Simmons gets injured right before the regular season starts this year. And then we don't find out that he's going to miss the entire season until almost March. And obviously we knew, and then same with Embiid, we didn't figure out that he's going to miss the rest of the season until March, when he was injured in January. And more than likely the injury was known by the front office after like the first MRI. They kind of knew, the medical staff probably knew, but they were going to take their time with it and like reevaluate, as they did 150 times.
Yeah, and that's an kind of underrated aspect of this. At what point do we start to really question the medical staff here? Because, okay, like, is it the front office just distorting what they're saying, essentially, and just not telling us what the information that they're given, or is the medical staff just garbage at their jobs?
Yeah, I've seen a lot more about the medical staff, because obviously nobody likes how Colangelo and the front office are dealing with this. But then a lot of people just have overlooked the fact that, okay, well, Colangelo and the front office aren't the ones that are actually examining these players. And so what they're being told is what the medical staff sees, and what the medical staff sees is we don't know what the medical staff is seeing, obviously, because they're like personal records, and you can't really see injury records because there's like legal stuff around and everything. But like the medical staff, we don't know if the medical staff is being non-transparent with the front office, or if they're telling them what it is, and then the front office is just choosing to keep it kind of away from the fans.
Yeah, it's a really weird time to be a Sixers fan, and I hope they get at least this sorted out quickly, where we can just let us know what's going on. I don't think any of us we're upset that Embiid's done for the year, but if you just come out and tell us that from the get-go, we're understanding of it. But it's the fact that they waited so long. They made us think that he was going to come back. They set a date for the return, and then you tell us that he's not going to be coming back. That's what I think a lot of people are pissed about, and what we're pissed about. So it's just frustrating to see that type of just communication with the fans, and especially, like, Philadelphia fans. He's been in this city almost a full season now. You know what the fans are like. So don't pretend, oh, I didn't know that this was going to be the backlash. Bruh, do your research before you come to this city. The fans will tear you apart for everything, even if you don't deserve it.
We all know how that happens. We all know how that goes down.
So, yeah, I hope at this point it's the front office and not the medical staff, because I would like our medical staff to be competent enough to diagnose injuries correctly and quickly. But also at the same time, you want your front office to not be a bunch of bumbling idiots like they are right now.
Yeah, we just have to really hope that it is as bad as it sounds, like, we have to hope it's the front office and not the medical staff, because if it's the medical staff mishandling like injuries and whatnot, then it's a whole other issue, and then it's both the front office and the medical staff in deep shit then, because the medical staff is overseen by the front office, and if the medical staff isn't being truthful with their diagnoses or however you diagnostics, and and the front office is kind of overseeing them and saying what they're reporting, what they're seeing, it's just like, that's just a whole different conundrum that we do not want to get into. So as bad as it sounds to say, we hope it's just the front office kind of being like teeter-tottery in their decisions on when to make players day to day, when to make players week to week, when to make players, oh, we're reevaluating him in 2 weeks or whatever, or out for the year now. So yeah, we hope it's the front office.
It's such a fucked up thing to say, but
It really is, though.
man,
It is, but
but we have to, because I every day of the week I'd rather it be the front office than the medical staff being incompetent as all hell. But anyway, on to the players who are actually on the court for the Sixers, and one in particular, Jahlil Okafor. He's bad.
yeah, you more than likely. I mean, I know Kyle did. Obviously, I saw it. A ton of people, 100% saw it. So, obviously, the video of him against the Heat, showing probably the least amount of effort that one could give on a defensive play. It went viral. I know that. That was probably the most questionable thing. And then what even made it worse was that earlier today, I believe, or maybe yesterday, he came out and defended.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. You didn't see that? Yeah, he came out and defended, saying that like the his persona of not hustling or like not giving effort is not true.
Jahlil, it's clear as day. There's video proof. These are not alternative facts. They're right there.
Yeah, I don't know what made him say that. Like, I mean, I guess like he's not gonna say anything else. It would have been better if he just apologized for it and, and said like, I will improve on my defensive effort. But I mean, he said that, which is the second best thing, I guess, to defend himself.
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess... yeah, that's just bad. I can't defend him defending himself. That's just complete bullshit. You watch... I'll put a gif of it or whatever in the YouTube video. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm not sure how you haven't if you're a Sixers fan, or if you just don't follow the Sixers
fan
and
of
you
the
listen to
NBA.
us anyway. Yeah, if you're a fan of the NBA. If you're a fan of the NBA, you're going to be appalled by this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's very bad. And I believe this is a quote from Okafor. I just searched it on Twitter because I hadn't even heard about this yet. Assuming this is from him, I'm not making excuses. I did do what I was supposed to do, and that's retreat. We had an amazing roller in Hassan Whiteside, so my job was to not let Dragic or Whiteside behind me. Of course, McGruder runs in to get the offensive rebound, and I'm accountable for that too. That's my fault, supposedly. Motherfucker, it is your fault.
Yeah.
It's not supposedly. You're the center. Your job is to get rebounds and to box people out. I have never played a single level of professional basketball, and I know that.
Yeah, it was definitely on him.
I'm glad I searched that though to get that quote, because that's just makes everything worse. Jahlil. Oh, but Nerlens Noel was a problem.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like, the fact that like, just to like go back to like the trade real quick, like the fact that Colangelo traded Noel for what he did and then denied the deal from the who was it, the
Pelicans.
The Pelicans.
Yeah.
Basically, like, I mean, you've probably heard it. You probably heard us say it, but like the deal that Okafor was, or the deal that Colangelo was presented for Okafor was the same deal that got DeMarcus Cousins from the Kings minus Buddy Hield. So like, I don't, which is a joke in itself. Like, the fact that Sacramento gave Cousins away for that, and we wouldn't give Okafor for that, just minus Hield, who isn't turning out to be what many thought he would be. I mean, obviously he's only like 2 years in, but still, like,
But come on, like,
I don't, yeah.
Okay, and again,
But like, yeah, Okafor is just like, and even since, like, he's good on offense. He's always been good on offense, but like, he's just a liability on defense. Like, you could stick a one of those like big like waving tube guys that like stand out in front of like mattress stores, and he'd do better defensively.
he is the Andrew McDonald of the Sixers. I think that's the most like accurate description, except that McDonald doesn't do anything well.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, even Okafor sometimes is garbage offensively. He just tries the same moves. It's just that he's really good at that one move. But
And it works a lot, yeah.
yeah, but when it doesn't, it's just like, okay, Julia, you got to do something different. And he's like, nah, spin move, I got this.
Spin move to the baseline.
Spin move opposite side. It's different this time.
Yeah, then he'll
The
try a
Matrix.
hook shot and miss it by a mile and a half.
Meanwhile, Embiid's like, this is why Noel's my best friend and Jaleel isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure if Okafor was traded, obviously Embiid would have done something because he's Embiid, and he would have been like,
He would have made some kind of comment.
he would have done something, yeah. But like the fact that Nerlens got traded, and then like he said like, oh, like his best friend and everything.
Yeah, it's the Sixers are a mess, but hey, at least we got Markelle Fultz to hopefully look for in the draft because the Kings are one stupid ass franchise.
Yeah, we just need to stay ahead of them now,
Yeah,
and hope to
Which-
God that. Well, I mean, obviously it's all just like percentages and
yeah.
through the lottery.
The lottery
picks,
could screw over anyone. So
It has before. Like the Cavs were like the 8th seed, or were like the 8th most likely to get the number 1, and they got the number 1. So.
Or the Bulls when they got Rose, and they were like they had the least odds, I think, to get it, and they got Derrick Rose out of it. That wasn't rigged at all, though. It wasn't the NBA being like, we'll give the Bulls their next MJ, even though MJ wasn't even a number 1 overall pick. So.
Yeah, and then look what D Rose turned out to be. Obvious. He's like it's like 7 years later, and he's like contemplating retirement with the Knicks. Like.
and Bulls fans just shudder everywhere because of the fact that his career basically ended when he played the Sixers.
Pretty much, yeah.
That was a fun series, though.
It was.
So unless you have anything else to say about the Sixers, I think we can move on to the Flyers and that shit show.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say. So, so the trade deadline in the NHL passed, and the Flyers
Things
traded
happened.
Mark Streit. Yeah, so the Flyers traded Mark Streit, which many people wanted. The return was, in my opinion, enough, but not ideal, I guess, if you want to call it. We got 32-year-old Valtteri Filppula from the Lightning, and but the even funnier thing to me is that Streit, when we traded him, he immediately got traded to the Penguins.
And
So pretty much the Lightning gave up a player and got 1 pick from the entire thing. So they basically traded Filppula for a 2018 4th, I believe. Basically, like, in the end.
Yeah, 2018 4th. Yep, it was. The official deal was straight to the Flyers, or straight to the Lightning for Filppula, a 2017 4th, and a 2017 conditional 7th. And the condition to that 7th, which is this just proves the fact that the Flyers just didn't want to trade with the Penguins directly, because the condition was if Streit gets traded right away. Well, we see what happened.
Wait, I didn't even see that. Is that actually like what the condition is? So like basically we got the pick if Streit was traded right away.
Yeah. So
that's hilarious. I didn't see that. That's hysterical. Oh my god.
Like, they're so petty, the both of them. Who cares if you trade with one another? Like, granted, I'm glad we got Filppula out of it, but my god, just it's hilarious, but it's stupid at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows, dude? Like, who knows why they won't trade with each other?
I swear it's because their fan bases would be, like, too pissed off that, like, how dare you talk to them?
Yeah.
I don't care if they're another NHL team. You're not supposed to talk to them. They're the demon.
Yeah.
But Streit got traded then by the Lightning to the Penguins for the 2018 fourth round pick. Which, I don't get how Tampa even... And to make this even worse for Tampa, like, they want to call it a salary dump, but they're paying half a Streit salary because the Flyers are only paying 4.7% of his salary. They retained that much. Like, it's such a weird-ass trade, and I think...
It's very weird.
Yeah, like, I think you hit the nail on the head with, it's a fair return, I just don't think it's, like, what people expected.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's comparable to like the Joel Okafor situation. Like, obviously, we wanted something back for Okafor that was ideal and that was fair, but we didn't want something back that like would just be complete trash. And it's the same with Strite. Like, we know Strite is capable, right? He's 32. Like, he's a capable defender still. He's not in his prime anymore, but we still want like decent return for him. And
Yeah.
like that's just like, I guess it makes sense that we didn't get like a monster return for him because he's Mark Strite. He's 32, and
He's 39.
Phil Poole is what? And Phil Poole is what? 30. Oh, Strite's 30. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, his number is 32. Or was.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what I was. I don't know what I was thinking there.
No, it's okay.
I think I was looking at Phil Poole's age.
Yeah, he might be
32.
Okay, yeah.
He's 32. Okay, yeah. Okay, I was looking at the wrong age, but yeah. But like Phil Poole is 32, and it's like, I mean, it's a good return.
Yeah.
It's a doable return, and I personally like the deal because like Strite was just like, I don't know, he's not a good fit, especially with like when we only have 2 to 3 like competent defensemen. That means one of those non-competent defensemen is gonna get paired with another non-competent defenseman, and a lot of the times that was Strite when he wasn't with Provorov.
Yeah. Strite was basically a liability whenever he wasn't with Provy because Provy would just kind of bail him out most of the time, and Provy does the same thing with McDonald, but it was pretty clear that like Provy would play as the veteran defenseman even though he's playing with a 39-year-old and he's 19/20. Mm-hmm. So there was that whole deal, but yeah, I think it's a fair trade. And after last night's game, Filppula seems fun. He plays like he's like a gigantic player, but he's not. He's what, like 6'1", something like that, like maybe 210.
About 6'1", 6, yeah.
And the way he I forget who he muscled off the puck in the corner though, but he just stick lift after stick lift. It was like NHL 16. I think that was the NHL that had had like the really glitchy ass stick lift. But no, Filppula looked great last night, and of course he got the game tying goal that sent it to overtime. And I think that the only thing that I worry about with it is the fact that his cap at is $5 million, and we have to protect him in the expansion draft. So it's not even that we're gonna lose that salary unless we find a way to trade him. But he has a no movement clause, so then you have to find a way to get him out of that, and Hexall was right in the fact...
It's a weird situation.
Yeah. Hexall was right that it does make the team better now, but that type of thinking worries me when the team is really not that great despite winning 2 in a row because they're just not that good of a team. Like, the 10-game win streak distorts so much about this season. And granted, a lot of it's been bad luck. They have, unless it changed a lot after the game last night, they have the league's lowest PDO, which is basically a fancy talk for luck. It's just how lucky of a team you are, basically. And the Flyers are dead last in that, so they probably are better than what they are in the standings, but at the same time you look at the roster and you go, no, they are that bad.
Yeah, obviously the Filppula return, like you said, it's very tedious with like what's gonna happen with the salary, what's gonna happen with like, because obviously you said he has the protection to be traded and all that crap, but yeah, and I do kind of agree with Hextall, or not with Hextall, with Hextall, saying that okay, what makes the team better at this point, and it does, because Filppula, even though he is a forward and Strite was defenseman,
we need forward depth.
He's a better forward than Strite is a defenseman.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't in hindsight, or not in hindsight, in the grand scheme of things, it does make the team better now. But a 32-year-old forward who's probably going to start declining within the next 2 years, who's on a $5 million salary, who has that trade protection, I mean, it's a questionable statement from Hextall saying that it's going to make us better. But right now, yes. 2 years from now, probably not. And it's going to be tough to move him. And so, I don't know.
The thing
We
they
got
have
hope.
going for him, though, is the fact that his contract does end after next year. But it's just... Like, again, Hexel's not wrong in saying that it makes the team better now. He's not. Like, Filppula is a much better forward, like you said, than Streit was a defenseman. And we need forward depth. You've said this before, that there is a severe lack of talent drop-off after the top 6. Filppula helps that quite a bit. But next year, like, you can't spend any money on free agents now. And especially with the fact that Hextall saying, yeah, we want to re-sign Mason as well after they just extended Neuwirth and Belmar, which we'll get to.
We'll talk to.
Yeah, but I don't get it. Like, we need players who can actually play. And to be fair, there's just not that many of them on the roster right now. The whole fourth line is a disgrace. Dale Weiss was... I feel so bad for defending that signing because that is a horrible contract, and hopefully Vegas takes him for some whatever reason. Hextall just bribes the shit out of him, but he's gonna have to get him to take him.
That would be the day.
Hextall is truly a wizard if he forces LA to take him. Because who would even dare touch that contract right now?
Nobody. I don't even think the Yankees would.
You know it's bad when the Yankees won't even take it.
Yeah, the Yankees won't even.
The Yankees take everyone.
Man. Yeah, they do take everyone. Like, you could be on a $300 million salary. You could be $100 million over the salary cap on your own. And they could already be $100 million over the salary cap, and they'll take you.
But guess what? They're not getting Bryce Harper.
They're not. We're going to outbid them.
Hell yeah, we are. We have all the money to spend.
Yeah, and if we don't get him, we'll just wait for Trout in 2020 or
exactly
2021. And if like Trout signs like another monster extension that's even bigger than he already has, then we can get Manny Machado in like 2 years. So
we're can't beat the Phillies, okay?
Yeah, pretty much we're getting a generational talent one way or the other.
Whether it be homegrown or we trade or sign everyone. I don't care. Forget it.
Let's like Mickey Moniak, like he'll be a star someday. So, but yeah, we're getting off topic. So,
not time for baseball yet.
To move into the re-signing, so Michael Neuwirth and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare were each re-signed to 2-year extensions. Neuwirth got $5 million, so 2.5 a year, and Bellemare got 2 years, $1.45 million a year. And so the Neuwirth re-signing, I don't get. The Bellemare re-signing, I kind of like. He is 32, or about to turn 32, and so the 2-year part at 32, it makes it a little bit better. Like if they were to sign him to like a 4-year deal and have him under contract until he was 35, that would kind of suck. But to only have him for 2 years, and especially, I mean, I'm not gonna say like our forwards down in like Lehigh Valley or whatever coming up through the system are like trash, but like right now we don't really have like a really good one, a really good center. So 2 years is enough time to kind of shop around, see obviously the progression of our young forwards, our young centers, and yeah, but the Neuwirth signing, I hate that.
Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, which, hey, go do that. It's @JakubSkoracek. Shameless plug. Neuwirth's the worst goalie by a lot, and there's no reason that he should have been signed to any contract, let alone $5 million fucking dollars over 2 years. That's never going to make sense to me. And it makes matters worse when you take into consideration the fact that, and this is coming directly from Mason, Sam Cardacci reported that Mason said directly that the Flyers have not negotiated with his agent all season. So not only do you sign the worst goalie, but you come out and you haven't even negotiated with the better one. Mm-hmm. You're acting like Neuwirth actually is the better goalie, and he's not. He has an .887 save percentage, and the Flyers have statistically played better in front of him, which I'll get to. But holy shit, what made you think... Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. If Neuwirth doesn't stand on his head that one game in the playoffs last year, he doesn't get this contract. That game 5 where he stood on his head, the Flyers played like complete trash, Ryan White got that lone goal. If he does not stand on his head and the Flyers don't win that game, Michael Neuwirth is on the street somewhere because he is totally not on this team.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Especially not $5 million. Like,
yeah, he'd more like 5 cents at the most.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, Ron Hextall could probably have paid him through like some dude like instead of some guy paying for a pretzel, Hextall would just like stand behind the concession and be like, wait, real quick, like I'll give me this $5. I'll go pay Michael Neuwirth with it.
Exactly, and I get it. I see a lot of people saying like, well, I like Neuwirth, so it's like he's not that bad. No, he's bad. I don't know what happened to him, but he's bad. And I like him as a person. He's a fine person, but I'm sorry. I'm in the position where I want to see my team win the Stanley Cup. Michael Neuwirth, a solid goalie can win you a Stanley Cup. Michael Neuwirth isn't a solid goalie though. He's been complete trash, and I hate ripping on him because I do like him, but you're not deserving of $5 million. You do not. 2.5 million cap hit for a guy who, again, 887.
Is not that good, yeah.
887.
Like, I guess the only positive to kind of take from it is that he is only 28, so I guess there is time for him to kind of, I guess, try to return to what he was like last year, like you said, like if he didn't stand on his head in the game 5, or like obviously he wasn't bad last year, but like he's only 28 and 2 years. So like generally in professional sports, 30 is that threshold to where if you're not good by the time you're 30, you're pretty much as close to a bust as there is. And so so 30 will be that age where his contract runs out. And that 2 years, obviously we have goalie prospects, Carter Hart, Nordstrom, or I believe is his name, Nordstrom, or the dude from Sweden.
Sandstrom.
That's what
Felix.
And
Sandstrom.
so like we have we have those two who looked incredibly good in the World Juniors. So
and then Stolars.
Exactly. Exactly. Stolars. Obviously, Mason might get re-signed still. But like he's 28. He's gonna turn 30 when his contract runs out, and so it's like, well, I guess it's. I still don't see the sense in it. Like even through all that, like you kind of like you explain it, and it in your head it like logically makes sense. But then it's just like, well, he's Michael Neuwirth. Like, why? He's the second best goalie on this team by a long shot. Like, why resign him?
And I swear to God, anyone challenges me on him being the second best goalie on the team, don't even start, because I'm not in the damn mood. Especially, like, watch the game last night and tell me that Neuwirth's a better goalie. Please, I dare you to tell me that, because it's just, again, like you said, it makes sense in your head, and then you just kind of look at the save percentage, and you're like, nah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't pay a guy who only has an 887 save percentage $5 million in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if they won you, like, 10 Stanley Cups. You don't pay him that much money.
Yeah, no.
Maybe, like, to be your GM, but that's...
Mm-hmm.
Ron Hextall, I've supported him so much, but it's at the point where I'm starting to question his ability as a GM. Because there's no sense in it. And I have serious, like, I made this tweet, I think it was the day of when he got signed, and it's the fact that maybe he's just not a good GM. Maybe he was just meant to be an assistant GM. Because I don't doubt his, like, junior player talent evaluation. He's drafted Konechny, he's drafted, Sanheim, he's drafted, Rupsov, he's drafted Provorov. He's drafted all these great guys. But if you can't evaluate talent at the NHL level, then you're not going to be a good GM, because you need to make those small acquisitions like Chicago does every year that wins them cups, like LA does that wins them cups. Hextall, I don't think he can do that.
Yeah, like you could compare, not to like cross-sport comparison, but like you like a prime example of like what you want a GM to be is like Theo Epstein from the Cubs. He
Yep.
was with the Red Sox, and pretty much took them out of their however long 90 whatever year drought, and then goes to the Cubs and brings them out of their 108-year drought. And during both times, you look at the Red Sox system right now. Obviously, they it's gotten a little bit better, just because of like they weren't that great, and then they got a couple good draft picks, and then some good trades and whatnot. But like for the majority, like that is Epstein's system still, and like a lot of those guys are coming up now, and they're playing well. And then like you look at the Cubs, and they're pretty much their entire team is composed of guys who were under like 28 years old. And then obviously you have like the veterans like Lester and Lackey and all those guys. But like still, like that is what you wanted a GM to be. But because he can assess both young talent and major league talent. But in this case, Hextall, he is really good at the junior part and the prospect part. It's just that he's not good at the level where it counts right now.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what matters. And to go off your point of Epstein, a guy, and like I said with those small moves, Ben Zobrist, granted, not really a small move because he got a big contract, but getting those type of players to kind of round out the team. And to go use the Phillies example, Pat Gillick back in '08, getting Joe Blanton, getting Matt Stairs. Small moves matter so much. And if Hextall, because he sounds like he wants to make, like, he said he wasn't buying the whole time, but this is a buy. It's a sell and a buy, but if his reasoning behind it is the fact that he wants to make the playoffs this year. And barring Toronto collapsing and basically everyone else in the wild card hunt collapsing, I can't see us winning. And I know that's crazy to say after coming off 2 wins, but one of them was against Colorado, and can we really count a win against Colorado?
I mean, like a junior team.
Yeah, they're worse than a junior team. I think they're like
they are horrid.
Like they are statistically like, oh my god, there was an Atlanta Thrashers team that had like only like about 39 points this year. Colorado's at like 39 right now, but they're not getting that many points more than that this year.
No, they might finish. They would be like extremely lucky to finish with 50.
I believe I saw that they are with a loss tomorrow against Winnipeg, I want to say. I forget the tweet, but they would be eliminated from playoff contention already. And granted, we know they're eliminated, but like actually mathematically eliminated.
Like
and that's crazy. Yeah. It's March. It's like we still have a whole month and a half to play. There's still over 20 games left. So
yeah.
Then to get on to the Belmar deal, this is where I disagree with you because, and I get the fact that you need role players. Belmar is a role player. Just my point is that he's not a very good one, and people want to say, oh, well, he's a really good penalty killer. Just take a guess as to where he is on the chances against per 60 list amongst forwards in terms of like in all shorthanded situations. Just take a guess out of the 167 players, where does he fall on that list?
Yeah, he's probably like, well, based on your tone of voice, I'd bet he's in the 160s.
Oh, okay, not that bad, but
okay.
But I know I kind of gave it away that it wasn't going to be good, but he is 137th. Oh wait, hold on, I messed up there. He is 131st in CA 60 on the penalty kill in all situations. Now, when you think of some of the other penalty killers on the team, there's Sean Couturier, there's Wayne Simmons, and where do you think those two rank?
Probably like, I'm gonna say like top 70.
Oh, it's better than that. It's very much better than that.
Really?
Third and fourth. Simmons is third. Coots is fourth. Yeah, Simmons is higher than Coots. Simmons who hasn't played in the penalty kill until like this year.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, so.
Well, it's probably just because it's like a small sample. I mean, I'm sure they have like some like a metric to go off that like you can. It's like a minimum, but like.
Yeah, like
Jeez, I didn't think it would be that high. I kind of expected Couturier to be like maybe like top 20 or so, but then or maybe like top 15. But then like Simmons, I didn't expect him to be third. What the hell?
yeah, it is. Granted, this is kind of off skewed a little bit because Simmons, granted, he's actually played more. Has more time on ice than Couturier does in the situation, but Couturier missed a certain amount of games with that injury.
Yeah, so it seems like
Yeah, it's granted Couturier's probably actually better, or I'm gonna assume that he would be better, but yeah, like Wayne Simmons, a guy who hasn't played on the penalty kill his entire. I'm not sure about his entire career, but at least in the time in Philadelphia, I don't think he's played like really at all on the penalty kill, and he's third best in the NHL at limiting chances on all shorthanded situations. So moving on then to chances for per 60 on the penalty kill. Now, granted, this actually is kind of a more important stat than I think a lot of people are going to give it credit for, because when you're creating chances on the penalty kill, chances are you're probably not going to be allowing any because you're taking up a lot of the time of the penalty kill. So, again, where would you think that Belmar would rank there?
I have the 167 again.
Yep.
Definitely above 120, I would say.
135th.
Okay. And then
yeah.
I'll say Simmons and Couturier are probably like top 30.
Couturier is 14th, and Wayne Simmons is actually 49th, which is surprising to me because
It's a bit surprising.
Yeah, I feel like he's generated a bit more offense than that, but maybe they just haven't resulted in actual like measurable chances.
Yeah.
There's always that, and that I've said this before. Corsi isn't the end all be all, but especially in this case, I think it's a pretty good parameter of how good a player actually is performing on, especially on the penalty kill.
Mm-hmm.
So, on to the last thing is the Corsi 4 percentage. So, again, where do you think that Couturier and Simmons are? I'll go with those two first.
I'll say top 40.
You would be right. They're actually both in the top 20. Couturier is third amongst all NHL forwards with a 22.4 CF percentage. Jordan Staal leads with 25.4. No surprise there. Stahl's been one of the best penalty killers in the league ever since he got into the league. Yeah. Couturier was compared to Stahl, for crying out loud, so there's your basis for that. And then Simmons is 16th with a 17.5. So again, really good numbers for a guy who hasn't played on the penalty kill really at all. And then Belmar, I kind of gave it away earlier, but what do you think his rank is there?
Trash.
Yeah, just that's very accurate. 137th. He's so bad, and I get that. Again, this isn't an end-all be-all, and sometimes he does a decent job on the penalty kill. I feel like if you're just watching the game, but statistically, he's just not. And I get that he's a good leader, and that's why they gave him the A. And I get that it doesn't matter in all. In the long run, it doesn't matter that much. But it's the fact that mediocrity keeps being rewarded is what pisses me off. And that's why I have such a huge issue with all of this, because quit rewarding players like him for being, oh, well, they're that, he's not even a rough and tough guy because he doesn't fight like anyone. He had that one great fight over Bobby Farnham in 2014-15, I think. But he's not a grinder. He's just... he's a role player, and he just doesn't really do that well in that role. And it's not like he could play anywhere else. Like, that's what he is. He's a fourth liner at best. He's not a third liner. He's definitely not a second liner, even though fans thought that, oh, well, he did it during the 10-game win streak, and he shut down Connor McDavid, so he's a second-line center. Because, outliers don't exist.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
But, yeah, I know that was a lot, and I know that I'm probably overreacting a little bit to this, but it just pisses me off that people just don't understand the fact that it's not so much about Belmar, for one, getting the A or getting the extension.
Test.
Yeah, that too. You gotta dig beneath the numbers. Like, go into advanced stats it seems overwhelming at first, but trust me, it's not that hard. It's just a
You just
little
gotta look
bit.
at labels.
Yeah, like there's a glossary on, like go to this site, stats.hockeyanalysis.com. They have a full glossary, and if you have any questions, just ask me. I'll do my best to let you know, and or follow Charlie O'Connor from Broad Street Hockey. He does a way better job than anything I could explain about Corsi and all that. But just please do some research before you try to say like, oh, this player is really good at this whatever role, because stats dictate otherwise almost 99% of the time if you're just going off of the eye test.
Yeah, and numbers don't lie. Like
Yeah.
look, I'm still okay with the signing even after hearing all those numbers, just because, like I said before, it's not a huge contract. It's only 1.45 a year.
Yeah, I understand that.
The fact that he got less than Neuver, I don't. Okay, but he got 1.45. Neuver got 2.5, and so obviously that's a $1.05 million difference, which I don't get. I get.
Neuvert's a goalie, so the market's inflated.
Yeah, goalies are gonna get more. Yeah, but like Bellemare, he's not. Don't get me wrong. He's not good. He's not a good player in any sense of when it comes to like good, like solid role players. Like you said before, like he's not good.
He's not a Max Talbot.
Exactly. He's not a good role player, but he's a player that like he'll do well enough of the time to kind of to make an impact. And so like we said, he's not even 32 yet. He's turning 32 in like 3 days. So he's technically 32, but like
yeah.
Those 2 years they're going to give Ron Hextall and the front office time to kind of assess, okay, well, this is where we are with our fourth line center and our role player in Bellemare. And in 2 years' time, if he doesn't kind of pull through and get a better role player than Bellemare, then that's just a situation in itself. But like, if he ends up coming through and delivering to the fans and to the organization like a solid role player like a Max Talbot, obviously we're not going to get Max Talbot, but like
and to go off of that,
it'll be solid. It'll be solid.
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, and this season for one is because I looked at what he had done in the past. His numbers before in the penalty kill were not nearly as bad as they have been this year. So granted, it could just be an outlier, or it could be regression because, like you said, he's 31 going on 32. So he's not, and he hasn't had that much NHL experience despite having that age, just because he played overseas for basically his whole career. He came here in 2014-15, so this is his third NHL season. And so again, it could just be an outlier, it could just be that, and he's actually a better player than what his numbers suggest this season. But it's just such weird timing to give him a contract extension. It's the same case with Neuvirth. It's the timing that sucks.
Yeah,
It's I don't get it. And then to go on to the guy who actually is performing and doing a damn good job is my man Steve Mason.
Yeah. So Steve Mason, he sat out 9 games?
Something like that. I wasn't keeping track because I lost so much interest.
And then Dave Haxall decided to just start him, and shutout. You know what else is new?
Yeah, shutout and then a 1-goal
33
victory.
save shutout, and then and then he made some nice saves in the shootout. Kept them to 1 goal. I mean, he's decent, I guess, average.
Yeah, to most fans, he's just he's decent. He's not gonna win us a cup though, even though we've seen some pretty like average goalies win some cups. So that argument's invalid. But,
but like not much to say about Mason, other than the fact that he proved Haxtall wrong here, and I guess you could call it, now that you're looking back on it, and Mason came off it and is playing like very well now, or well, at least the first 2 games back from it, he played very well. And I guess you could say it was like a learning experience, but like we all know that Dave Hackstall wasn't benching him and starting Neuwirth for a learning experience.
Yeah, Mason's had enough of that.
Yeah, he was doing it because he thought that Neuwirth was a better goalie for whatever reason. And so...
He could not be any more wrong.
Yeah, I don't... But, like, yeah, now that he's back, okay, and he pretty much said, like, okay, Dave, I'm, like, good, and whatever you say is wrong. And so now that he's playing well, at least for the first 2 games, and, I mean, obviously one of them was against the Avalanche, so not a huge takeaway there, but still, he had a 1-goal win last night. We're recording this Friday, so last night on Thursday, 1 goal. He played well in the overtime. Didn't really get many chances in the overtime, so he didn't have too much work. But then the shootout, he did make 2 nice saves. Got beat once, but it's whatever. But that was a sick move, by the way, that he got beat. I forget who it was.
That was just no goalie sob said. Like, I don't care who it is. It could be Carey Price. Barkov
that was a sick move.
Ooh, Mason's jock is still hanging up in the rafters there, and who can blame him like that? Barkov is so damn good.
Oh,
I wish it was
wicked.
a Flyer.
That was wicked.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective of how good Mason has been, the Flyers have a 50.7 Corsi for percentage in front of him. They generate 57.95 chances for per 60, 56.41 chances allowed. Neuwirth, on the other hand, 62.55 Corsi chances for per 60, and then a 54.28 CA 60. He's got the easier job. And you're telling me he has... And Mason, clearly beats him in every goalie category. So, please, enlighten me. How is Neuwirth the better goalie? Because I've reached, full sass mode with this, because I'm so just annoyed with the fact that people think that Neuwirth has been so fantastic because he had that one really great game in the playoffs last year, so he's just fantastic forever, even though Mason has statistically been the better goalie.
Yeah. The argument that Neuwirth's a better goalie is just to me, it's not invalid yet. It's close to invalid, just because he's 28 and he still has time, but it's as close to invalid as it could get right now, because like you said, and I didn't even think of it, but your argument that if he doesn't stand on his head last year in Game 5, he probably doesn't get his contract. He probably doesn't stay in Philly after this season. Steve Mason more than likely gets re-signed. But if he doesn't get that, like you said, he doesn't make that save. He doesn't stand on his head. He doesn't get this contract. So it's okay, well, why give him a contract if that's the only thing he's done?
And if you're going to use
Mason, and
if you're going to use that logic, Mason stood on his head for that Rangers series back in 2014. So, hello, nice double standard. Mason stood on his head in that series, and he stood on his head for all of 2014-15. Had a .928 save percentage behind the garbage that was Craig Berube's defense. But Neuwirth had one great game against the Capitals in the playoffs, so everything doesn't throw everything out the window. And I'd only even thought of that point last night. I was holy shit, he wouldn't have gotten a contract. He literally would not even be on the team probably right now if he didn't stand on his head. If he allowed one goal. It's crazy to think. I know some people are probably going to challenge me on that, but tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me the other reason why Neuwirth gets this contract.
There is none.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, it's not an invalid argument yet that Neuwirth isn't. Yeah, it's very close, though. I think it's just more of Mason has the better talent. He may not be as consistent as Neuwirth can be. Granted, Neuwirth's just consistently bad right now, but Mason, he's been inconsistent throughout a lot of his career. He won the Calder, then sucked for many of years with Columbus, turned his career around with the Flyers, now kind of backtracking a little bit, but as I've mentioned, he's not getting much help from the team, so it's a crazy argument, and it's just a crazy situation for Mace. The fan in me wants him back, but I am trying to deal with the fact that he's probably not going to be back as I grab the cord for my headphones because I'm very annoyed with that.
Yeah. So
I love Mason.
yeah. I'm sure many of us would rather Steve Mason. Obviously, there's people who would rather Neuwirth, but and I guess they're getting their wish. But before we move into some Eagles stuff, finally for once, because Eagles haven't really been
They
doing
still
much lately
exist.
because they do still exist. The Super Bowl ended a month ago, and obviously when a major sports championship ends, nothing happens for like a month or two. But really quick before we move into that, the Capitals are going to choke again. Okay, so
Hell yeah, they are.
okay, so two things on the Eagles today. So first, we'll get like the smaller part out of the way. The Eagles, well, I don't know if it's small, but it's smaller than the second thing. So the Eagles actually won the coin toss today for the 14th pick. So basically what was the situation was the Vikings and Colts were pretty much like tied and everything, I guess, and they had a coin flip to determine who got the 14th pick and who got the 15th pick in this year's draft. And the Eagles, of course, in the Sam Bradford trade, got this year's first rounder. And so basically whatever the outcome of that flip was, the Eagles got either the 14th or 15th. The Vikings won the toss, and so the Eagles got the 14th pick. So that's good. But in the bigger realm of things, there's rumors that, and they are heating up. There are a lot of rumors that Brandin Cooks, the very good wide receiver from the Saints. Well, we don't know if he's very good just because he has Drew Brees, or if he has really good talent. He's quick. He's good hands and everything. He is being shopped right now, according to many people. And Alex Marvez of SiriusXM NFL Radio has been reporting and kind of going out all day saying that the Eagles are the front runners for him, and it's only going to take a second rounder, which I'm like ecstatic about. I don't know how, but yeah, that situation is really good.
Howie is a freaking wizard if he can pull that off, because
If he gets him for a second rounder, holy.
like the whole time we've been like, okay, so we're gonna have to give up a first for Cooks. Who's willing to do that? And then all of a sudden Marvez just goes, it's probably gonna be like a second.
Yeah.
Everyone's eyes just go,
And
wait,
even
what?
if we have to give up like something, but like I did see that Marvez did say that, because I'm pretty sure he was on a radio station. I forget where he was on.
I think it was 97.5, because Mosher tweeted it that he was.
Yeah, that he was saying that pretty much like Kendricks is probably not going to be a piece in the trade, which you see, Kendricks is like awful on the Eagles, but he'd probably be like the best defender on the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints are dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm. So if Howie gets Cooks for a second rounder and a second rounder only, that's amazing. If he gets him for a second rounder and a mediocre player who's not going to fit into our system on either side of the ball, I'd still like it. I'd like the second rounder only better, but we need a receiver, and then obviously we can go out in free agency and try to get one.
And what also helps us out if we can pull this off is it gives them like a lot better position in the draft to just kind of go after that good secondary, go after a good defensive back, or go after the good running back like Dalvin Cook is what everyone seems to want. I don't know if I want, like, I get the hype around him and he is good, but I feel like taking a running back in the first round, unless it's like a Zeke, is so risky, and I would just rather save it for later ones, especially seeing the running back talent in this draft. Like, there is so many good running backs in the later rounds. I think his name was like Donta Foreman, who's from Texas, who was a complete monster last year, and I don't know why he isn't higher on people's boards, but the Eagles have said they wanted a bigger back, and he definitely fits that role. He's a power back, so I think they could probably just get to snag him up later. But yeah, if they can get Cooks for a second, it opens up so much more for the draft, and it makes it easier to kind of less prioritize wide receiver in that, because you have Cooks now. So if it only takes a second, it's going to be amazing. If they have to deal Kendricks in it, it's kind of whatever because he isn't really doing much for us now except for making like one good play every year. But yeah, it's amazing that we might get him for only a second.
Yeah, and Cooks is only 23, which is younger than a good amount of wide receivers coming out this
He's
season.
younger than Wentz too, isn't he?
Yeah, Wentz is what, 24?
Yeah, I think it's only by like a few months, but still, like he's been in the league for 2 years now, I think, and he's still younger. So
yeah, Cooks over the last 2 years he is 8th in receiving yards. He has 2,387 and 17 touchdowns, which is the 5th most. And we have Jordan Matthews. So yeah, and Nelson Aguilar.
Well,
so obviously Brandin Cooks would be a huge upgrade.
Yeah, that's... If you've listened to us at all, we don't really talk much about the Eagles, so it's weird when we do.
Yeah, because we don't really have much to say. Because, like, you know, I'm a football fan, but it's like I could go without it.
And that's me too. So
yeah, like I would much rather watch I would much rather talk baseball for like 3 hours. But
speaking of baseball, the Phillies are doing pretty well in spring training, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, they are doing pretty well. But before we get to that, I want to really quick touch on some MLB stuff. So, just general MLB stuff. So, like, if you haven't heard. The MLB and the MLBPA, which is the Players Association, they came to agreements on a few changes to improve the pace of play for the regular season this season. They're going to be going into effect right before the regular season begins. So spring training will be regular, but will be how they played last season. But yeah, so. The changes are obviously the intentional walk change. There's going to be a signal rather than them throwing 4 pitches. There's a 30-second limit for a manager to decide whether to challenge a play for replay. There is a rule change where a manager, if the manager has exhausted all of his challenges, the crew chief may now invoke replay review for non-home run calls beginning in the 8th instead of the 7th. So it's just an inning change. The limit on the replays are 2 minutes now, but they do allow various exceptions, which personally I want to know what those exceptions are because that's like a big kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very important.
Because like last year, I remember there was one replay that stands out for the Phillies. There was 2. There was one with Adam Morgan, I believe, and there was another one with Cesar Hernandez. It was like a steal at second for Cesar, and the replay took like 6 minutes, and then like there's like a Morgan replay. I forgot what it was even about. It took like 5 or something like that. So that's good. 2 minutes. There's a prohibition on the use of any markers on the field that could create a tangible reference system for fielders. So like there's a problem with it last year, where I believe it was the Dodgers were like digging up grass or whatever in the outfield and kind of as like placements for where they should be playing against certain people or whatever. So that's out. And then there's like other stuff with like rule changes for pitching, which I won't get into because they're confusing. And and then there's a rule with the base coaches that they have to be like inside the box because everybody knows that the base coaches never stand inside the box that they're given. So now they have to stand inside the box, and then they can get out once the pitch is thrown. But yeah, personally, I like all of these rules, except for the intentional walk change. It really just doesn't make sense to me. Like, the intentional walks, you might see one a game if you're lucky, and when they do happen, A, they're rare, B, it's even rarer when they go crazy and somebody scores a walk-off on a wild pitch on an intentional walk. So, like, why would you not want to see those, given how rare they are and given how rare intentional walks are? Like, I don't know. I don't get that change.
That's a fair point. I hadn't really thought of that. Because at first I thought it was fine, just because, yeah, granted they don't take up that much time and they don't happen that often in games, but it's for pitches that don't really matter because you know what's going to happen at the end unless for some reason the pitcher is incapable of throwing a ball. But yeah, I understand that you're gripe with it, and I think that it's kind of whatever because, like you said, it doesn't happen that much. But I don't really have that much of a problem with it just because it's not. It will speed up the game somewhat, but yeah, it's if you're
rare.
just kind of
It
like
won't-
yeah,
No,
you're gonna be
you're
like
back.
nitpicking as to how much you're gonna slow down or uh, pick up the pace of play with that. It's
Yeah.
but as for the other rules, yeah, I don't mind them at all.
Yeah.
I
No.
think the limits for replays is great. I think just anything that doesn't directly impact the actual game of baseball but speeds it up is exactly what they need to do. So none of that runner on second to start extra innings or any of that bullshit.
Yeah, and just as like a little bit of a side note, there was a Forbes, I believe, article earlier today. I'm not sure if you saw it. They pretty much said that in addition to all these changes, Rob Manfred, nothing's confirmed yet, but Rob Manfred would consider limiting the time of TV commercials. So
That means ads on jerseys, probably.
maybe, yeah, that is possible. But I would rather ads on jerseys because
Yeah.
that's, it's whatever. The big thing here is these changes, which are good. So that's not confirmed yet. That probably won't even end up happening because like this intentional walk talk and the replay limits, those have been talked about for years now. Ever since replay was implemented, and even before replay was implemented, like, oh, how are we gonna limit it? It's been talked about for years, and it just finally happened now.
So who knows how long it's going to be?
Who knows?
Before.
It'll be years probably before this even is talked about again. So
Just a
yeah. So
minor-
to move into Phillies spring training, they've been playing pretty well. Me and you were geniuses.
Hell yeah, we are.
Prior to spring training, we each kind of gave like some predictions that might not have been the most popular of ones, and so Kyle, your prediction was that Aaron Altair, I believe, would do very well.
Oh my god, I forget my own prediction, but yes, I think I predicted that, yeah.
Yeah, and
I-
Aaron Altair has been doing incredibly well. He has been like destroying balls. Like, he's not hitting like bombs every time. Like he's 4 for 12, so he's hitting 333. He has a double, a triple, and a home run. So I guess 3 of his hits are for extra bases, but he has been roping some hits.
Yeah, the
lately.
sound off the bat when he hits it, oh, it's nice. It is so nice.
Oh, it is very. And my 2 predictions were that Brock Stassi would rake and that Michael Franco would rake. And so far, Brock Stassi is 7 for 11 with 4 runs, a double, 2 home runs, 7 ribbies, and a walk. He hasn't struck out yet. He's hitting .636. He has a .667 on base, a 1.273 slug, and yeah, so that's good. And then Michael Franco is 4 for 10, so he's hitting 400. 3 of those hits are home runs, 4 ribbies. But more importantly, he has been a lot more patient at the plate, a lot more.
That's one of the main things that a lot of us had a problem with last year was the fact that he wasn't patient, but it's so nice to see him do that, and that's the case with a lot of guys, like Nick Williams. We mentioned this a little while ago just talking, and his approach has improved so much. His stats aren't the best this spring, but you can tell he's a better overall hitter, I think, than he was last year.
Yeah, and like last year, I believe he had 12 walks in all of the AAA
that's so
season,
bad.
which is really bad. Yeah, or maybe 17. I forget, one of those two, but it wasn't a lot. And he's played 6 games, so most of them, not all. And he has only 3 strikeouts, which is pretty good, and he has 2 walks. So, it's 2 to 3 ratio, which isn't, it's not terrible. It's not good either. Obviously, you'd rather more walks than strikeouts, but like that's J.P. Crawford right there. He's the only person that can do that. Aside from Rhys Hoskins, who apparently has a 4-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio somehow, because Rhys Hoskins is doing very well this spring as well. But yeah, so all right, so a decent amount of the games haven't been on TV, but just kind of from what you've been seeing, give me like one or two guys that you are very impressed with. I already know an answer, but give me like two guys.
Our boy Scotty Jetpack, Scott Kingery is such a beast, and if you get the chance, I hope there's a YouTube video of it. If not, his home run today. The home run's great alone, but that's not even the best part about it. It was like a 12 pitch at bat, and then he goes deep. Mm-hmm. He's so fun. Like, I think I made the comparison. I forget which episode it was, but I think I compared him a little bit to Chase. He's showing that a bit more every single game, and it's making me very excited for him. Like, I'm so freaking pumped because he made a great defensive play, and the home run was sweet. His swing just looked so beautiful, and oh my God, Cesar Hernandez who? But, like, sorry Cesar, but Kingery is so, he projects to be so good. And another guy who I think, I don't want to say under the radar, but kind of is, Cam Perkins has been still pretty good. Like,
he has had a pretty good spring, yeah.
He's tailed off a little bit ever since those first few games where he was really raking, but he's still hitting a .333 home run, 3 RBIs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, he's been caught stealing once. I didn't even know he tried to steal. But Cam Perkins is a guy who I think that if he can maybe pick it up just a little bit and kind of get to where, like, at the very least the high 300s, then he should definitely make the MLB roster off of spring training, because it's not like Chris Coughlin has been impressive by any means, and I feel like he's already kind of lost that hope of making the roster just because he hasn't even hit. Oh God, he doesn't even have a hit yet. I didn't think he was that bad.
He doesn't have a hit. Yeah, he's been doing very bad.
Yeah, that's bad. I didn't think he was that bad.
Yeah, pretty much right now, Perkins has to beat out Daniel Nava, who started out extremely hot as well. But the thing is, he's not going to keep it. I don't know. You see, the thing right now is, and I said this in my Week 1 recap that I did.
I'll link that in the description.
Read that. Yeah, you can read it. It was pretty good. It took me a few days to do, but I did it, and it turned out to be like 2,000 something words. So like, yeah. Anyway,
you put a lot of effort. Come on.
Yeah. So like Daniel Nava right now would be the only change in the 25-man roster that I would do personally, because at the beginning of the season or prior to spring training, I said my 25-man roster prediction, and I had Coughlin in there as my 5th outfield bench bat, but right now he doesn't have a hit, and Nava's 6 for 11, and so I would put him on the 25-man as of now, but it's absolutely possible that Cam Perkins could take that spot from him. It's unlikely, personally, and kind of just like what I've seen from Perkins, because he can be a very streaky player, and when he's off, he's like off. And so I still would rather Nava over Perkins, even if Perkins does finish spring, I wouldn't say hot, but if he does finish spring in the 300s, I'd still take Nava over him just because the veteran kind of in him. But it would be a debatable topic for sure, and I could definitely see the Perkins argument. But yeah, Scott Kingery is fun to watch, very fun to watch, and like just watching him at the plate. Like I remember last season, when he was at Reading, after he got called up to Double-A, he looked just lost. Like I would see clips, and he just kind of looked lost at the plate. And his walk rate plummeted while his strikeout rate just like climbed and climbed and climbed. And just watching him now, it's like, how did he in just a few months? Because he did play, I believe, in the Arizona Fall League, And it's just like, how in a couple of months did he make this like incredible transition? He's hitting 500 in spring training, 2 home runs. He had like 6 home runs or something like that throughout like his entire professional career, and which is 500 something odd at bats. And now he has 2 and 12 at bats, and it's like he's just raking, and it's very fun to watch, especially with how inconsistent Cesar Hernandez can be. So it gives us comfort knowing that if Cesar turns into what he used to be before the second half of last season, that we do have a very good second baseman coming up.
Exactly, and in his minor league career, Scott Kingery 8 home runs in 783 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
So it's ridiculous that he's putting up. Granted, again, it's only 2 home runs, but it's 2 home runs. That's a fourth of what he put up in his entire minor league career. So he is definitely giving us some comfort. So just in case Cesar Hernandez really regresses this year, which I don't think happens, but I still don't think that Cesar is the long-term solution at second base.
Yeah.
He's going to turn into a bench player or a trading piece at most. But it's definitely been nice.
Yeah, and one kind of, and there weren't too many negatives to kind of come from this.
No.
To come from the first week. Maybe Howie Kendrick, but he's 1 for 11 in 4 games. But
also, like, we know what he is. So
yeah, he's not gonna hit for like a 300 average. He'll hit in the mid 250s, maybe like the 280s at the highest.
Yeah.
And he'll be fine. Jorge Alfaro, he's hitless he's only had 5 at bats, which is whatever.
I don't know why they're not playing him that much.
I can kind of see it. Well, if you look at it, we have. All right, so our catchers by far dominate. I think, maybe aside from outfielders, but we have Chase Numata, we have Cam Rupp, we have Brian Holiday, we have Alfaro, we have Hannigan, Knapp, and Moore, and.
Oh, I didn't even know we had more out.
But the funniest thing is that Alfaro, Knapp, Hannigan, and Moore all are hitless. And Holiday is hitting 200, Rupp's hitting 222, and Chase Numata is hitting 500. Granted, he's played a game and has 2 at-bats and has 1 hit, but...
Still.
It's funny. It's like backwards, and I mean Rupp's 2 for 9. One thing I do want to talk about a little bit, not too much about because it's not really anything to worry about. But J.P. Crawford's 2 for 10 to start out. Really good though is that he has 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So you figure 2 for 10, he must be striking out a decent clip. He's not. He's 1-1, 1-to-1 ratio, which is what J.P. Crawford is because it has like an eagle eye.
Seriously.
But yeah, which isn't I think bad to harp on yet. So we're still fine with there.
And I forget. I think it was the Baltimore game. He had a really hard hit ball that just was right at a third baseman. So factor in another hit, make him like 2 for. So he's 3 for 11. That's better than, 3 for 10. Yeah. Why am I adding in it back?
So right there, he's hitting 300 down.
So yeah. So it's spring training early on is weird, and you can't look too much into the averages. Look at the at-bats and the hits because the averages are so screwed up because of just lack of sample size.
Yeah, like Hector Gomez is hitting 556.
Yeah. And he ain't sustaining that. Unless
he's not.
Nah, he's going to prove me wrong now. You watch.
Yeah, watch. He's going to go like 10 for 10 in like his next 10 at-bats. And it's going to be...
Franco gets hurt and all of a sudden Hector Gomez is our starting third baseman.
That would be something else. Yeah, pitching staff, I mean, like I said it in my recap. Like, what do you want me to say negative about the pitching staff? Like, the most appearances somebody has is 3.
Yeah,
and
it's
Cesar
hard
Ramos
to say
has
anything.
3. Sean Burnett has 3, and Luis Garcia has 3. And like everybody else, like all of our main relievers, Janmar Gomez and Joaquin Benoit, they both have 1 appearance. As does Clay Buchholz, as does Aaron Nola, as does Vince Velasquez, as does Jared Eichhoff. It's just, at this point, there's really no reason in scrutinizing the pitching staff yet. But like, Rich. I will say though that Nola and Velasquez both looked very good, which is good. They both went 2 innings, scoreless, gave up a hit each, struck out 1 each. They literally had this exact same line. And so that was good. And what the better part of it is that in Velasquez's start, he had 10 pitches in 2 innings, which is
a huge,
huge
difference from last year.
Oh my God. He would have 10 pitches in 1 batter to start the game.
He would have 70 pitches through 3 innings last year. It was like every start, too.
Yeah, and so he went 10 pitches in 2 innings, 9 of which were strikes. Nola looked pretty good as well. I'm not sure how many pitches he had. I didn't really look. I would assume probably in the 20s.
He had Jared. He had 9.
Nola had 9. Okay.
9 pitches.
So so they pitched well.
Yeah. We're not going to criticize them by any means.
Yeah, no, we're not going to criticize them. Clay Buchholz didn't look terrible either. He worked around 2 hits and a walk, 2 scoreless. Yeah, I mean, Adam Morgan
hasn't been trash.
He hasn't been bad. He really hasn't been bad. One person that I kind of have a little bit of mixed feelings about right now is Nick Pivetta.
Yeah, same.
He has 2 games. He only has 2 appearances under his belt. He is a starter, but they're just using him out of the pen because they're starting their actual starters for the season. He has 5 innings pitched, which is the most among everybody, I believe, or maybe tied for the most. He's tied with Hellickson at 5 innings. And he's given up 5 hits and 2 runs. He struck out 4 and has walked 2. Which, in kind of retrospect, it isn't a terrible line. Obviously, as time will tell over the spring training whether or not that's like a fair line, but other than that, really, there's nothing really much to talk about in the pitching staff.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Capel hasn't looked that great, and Alec Asher has been Alec Asher. Like, trash. I don't think anyone expected him to be really that much of a piece in spring training.
He's been trash.
Ben Lively, who this was my other prediction that I kind of fucked up on. He has a 9 ERA in 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 home run allowed, probably a 3-run home run. That'll make sense. 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. So, granted, again, it's early and it's hard to criticize too much, but it's not a good start for Ben.
Yeah, and another trash pitcher, Hector Neris. He also has a 9 ERA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just, you got to take with a grain of salt with pitching, especially because it's like pitching and hitting are different because pitching you're going to get in a week 2 appearances at the most, unless you're a reliever. But like hitting definitely take more into consideration because they have like Tommy Joseph has 15 at bats already.
Yeah. Like, to put it this way, Michael Marriott has a 0 ERA through 2 innings, so...
Yeah, like...
That's why I was laughing there. I'm like, man, Michael Marriott has a 0 ERA, so everything is disproven already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michael Marriott is not good, so...
You might get added, though, by him now, so...
Hopefully not.
Michael, come on the show. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we could settle our grievances, possibly with a... something.
Have a good grammar discussion.
But yeah, so spring training's gone pretty well so far.
Still very early.
What's the record? I don't even know what the record is. Probably like 4-4 or something, I believe.
Is their record? Believe so. Yes.
They've tied twice.
Yeah.
They tied against the Jays and the Rays on back-to-back days. Oh my God, look at that rhyme.
Yeah. So they lost to the Yankees. Won against the Yankees. Beat Toronto. So 2-1. Lost to Tampa 2-2, won against Baltimore 3-2, and they've tied, so they're 3-3.
3-3. Okay, yeah. So and then the next week they're gonna have a split squad on Sunday against the Tigers and the Orioles. So like half the team will go one place, half the team will go the other. That's good. People get more playing time. Monday is their first off day, and then they'll keep playing until 2 Mondays following, and then. They conclude spring training, I believe, like the 31st or something. Yeah, the 31st of March. So, in like 4 weeks they'll be finished with spring training. Obviously a lot of baseball to play. They'll have a few split squads in there. I believe they have 2. Yeah, they have 2 split squads. But yeah, we'll talk about them obviously as they get closer to happening.
Yep. Sadly, we don't have the On Deck series to look forward to this year.
Yeah, we don't because the World Baseball
Classic.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That
but
kind of sucks, but whatever.
We'll still get our fill when regular season starts, and besides, it's no one like ever goes to those games anyway. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody. Yeah.
Except for like 2011 when we sold them out.
Yeah. And just to like kind of touch on the World Baseball Classic, Odubel Herrera, he's gonna be playing in it, as are I believe a few other people. I know obviously we said like Freddie Galvis, Michael Saunders, they already pulled out of it.
Nick Pavetta's
I know there
going
are
for
a few.
Canada.
Nick Pavetta's with Canada. That's right. There are a few other minor leaguers like I know there's a few. I think we have a few playing for, or at least one guy playing for Team Israel.
Oh yeah, I forget, but yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, so spring training
Neris
is going
playing
good.
for someone, I think.
I think Neris is in it. Yeah, you're right. But spring training has gone well so far. We've gotten a good look at a lot of guys. It's like we said, take it with a grain of salt, but things are looking pretty good so far, especially with the young guys, Franco, Kingery. Odubel's playing well. We didn't even talk about Odubel, but he's hitting like 300 or something like that.
Had a sick bat flip today.
He did have a sick bat flip. He had a sac fly.
You would have thought it was a home run.
He's doing Odubel things.
Yeah. he's adorable.
I love Odubel. Odubel's fantastic.
Hopefully another All-Star season for him.
Yes, I would assume so. He's definitely looks good this year. Yeah. So as long as you don't have everything, I'm out of notes.
Yep, I think that's everything.
All right.
But yeah, so this has been the 7th episode of the Drive Podcast. We will be back next Monday, of course. Please check out our YouTube channel. That's where all the episodes are going to be. If you want to listen to the first or the second or third, because I think the first one actually got deleted because we went over like the hour limit or whatever on SoundCloud, because SoundCloud is weird. So
yeah, SoundCloud is strange.
So sadly, our first episode is no longer available. But I might just re-upload it on YouTube or whatever. I'll put it in at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, check out PhillyLongDrive.com to see Jared's Phillies Week 1 spring training recap. I'll post the link in the description of the YouTube video, and I think that's everything. So
yeah, real quick, before just if you don't know, if you're not familiar with Philly Long Drive and you would like a more easier more easily findable source, I put it on fan posts on the Good Fight, so
cool,
you can
there you go.
there.
That works too. So definitely check that out. Check out other content we've posted there. And I believe that's everything.
That is.
So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next Monday. Peace.
See you later.
They do. Fly ball left field. Tagging from third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it. Makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rupp hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Cameron Rupp hangs on!
Wow.
Everybody to their feet. What a play by Cameron Rupp. The throw took him into the baseline. He grabs it, hangs on, takes the contact, and the ball game is over. Another one-run victory. Now they are going to review this to see if there was a violation of the home.